prep school, a boarding school on the East Coast, sort of a miniature college campus built on what seemed to be a golf course in the foothills of the Adirondacks. I got to go to this very expensive, fancy boarding school, not because I come from great wealth or privilege, but because my parents are academics. I was the youngest, and they had a great deal of reading to catch up on. So I lived in a dormitory from the age of 13. Some of us could sense when the dorm parents, the adults, had gone to sleep in their little dormitory apartments. And we did not like being under curfew, where you're supposed to do homework or sleep and nothing else. I kept a metal can of 3-in-1 bicycle oil near a door in the basement of the dorm to keep the hinges perfectly lubricated. I would slip out 11 p.m., midnight, 1:30. Halfway down the hill, I would slide in Bruce Lee sidekick style next to my friend Ted. I would reach over without breaking the rhythm and take the joint from his hand. And we would sit under the bright, starlit Western Massachusetts sky and share dreams and hopes until he ran out of pot. And then I would continue down the hill without telling him I had some. To the music building. Near the music building, I kept a butter knife stolen from the cafeteria. And that could slip the latch, and then I was in. In the darkness, my rubber soles would squeak on the linoleum. And I would slide into one of the rehearsal rooms and practice the 3 or 4 basic chords on the piano that I had learned at that point in lessons as a child, and I would listen to the reverberation in the room around me. And one night I wandered further down the hall and I found a big room with all the instruments in it. And there was a guitar. And I picked it up. And it felt naughty. Holding the body of someone else against my chest without permission. No consent, fingering their frets. Stretching out their G-string. And in an act of supreme self-indulgence, I took the guitar into a rehearsal room, and I listened to the echo around me. I listened to the sound, and I remembered a moment when I was a child, Schuylerville, New York, sitting on a curb on Sundays when everyone else was in church. A little Jewish atheist kid had the town to himself. And I remember the rough sensation of the curb under my fingertips as I sat with a comic book. And I heard this sound at the back of my head. A high-pitched whine. At first, I thought it might be the electric wires over me. I've since learned that not everybody can hear the electrics. I have recently learned that I'm autistic. We didn't know that people like me could be autistic. When I was a kid, autistic was the kids who flapped, who went on the little bus with the people who were so severely physically or mentally or emotionally disabled that they couldn't function. There was no sense of Asperger's, now renamed. This was new. I was just a weird, creepy kid. I walked away from the curb. I listened for the sound. It was still there. It was in my head. I wondered if it was radio waves that I could somehow pick up but not decipher. I wondered if it was the literal electrics of my brain functioning. If I was hearing my own frequency. I went and asked my dad about it. And he said, "Oh, don't let it bother you. Ignore it, Dylan. That is called tinnitus. Most people will call it tinnitus." Because if you're going to train a kid to be pompous, you got to start early. So I didn't think about it. I let it go. And now here I was in a music room with a guitar in my lap, hearing that sound again. And Ted showed up. He wasn't mad that I had pot that I hadn't told him about. And we got high together in a little music room. He listened to my songs. And he didn't mock me, and he didn't tell me I was an idiot or correct my playing. He harmonized. And when I told him the story of the choir instructor, he was baffled by that story. He could not understand for a second. Wait a minute. I have not told you the story of the choir instructor. That's okay. You have to forgive me. This happens to me on stage. Many children had invisible friends. I had an unseen audience. As far as I'm concerned, you are the same people who have been with me since I was 5. You sort of move by in a vague blur, and some nights you're happy and some nights you're weird. Choir instructor, this needs to be in G if we're going to the Ted song. I can do this as a loop. Stand by one moment. It's a 1-4-1-5. We know how to do that. My family moved to Schuylerville, New York in 1969. We drove all night long in a huge pink Plymouth, a vehicle from which, in time of emergency, smaller vehicles could be launched. At 4 years old, my reading skills were already strong enough that I could make out the sign that said, "Welcome to Schuylerville, population 954. To give you a sense of what kind of town this was, because we had moved in, that afternoon the old white-haired mayor himself drove out to the sign with a bucket o' paint and amended it to say, "And some Jews." And I was the weird smart kid, so I would tend to finish my work earlier than most of the people in town at the school. I would finish up my worksheet or filling in the little ovals on the test, and I would raise my hand to go kill time in the bathroom, the library. And one afternoon I'd finished my work and I raised my hand and I was about to make the left, but I heard music. And I turned right instead. Not good music. Children. But the cafeteria had tables all pushed up against one side, the chairs, and it turned into an echo chamber that would cause envy in the Taj Mahal. And there were these 3 ranks of kids, maybe 10 in a row, 30 kids total, maybe fewer, I don't know. But they were singing in harmony, terrible harmony. They were all sort of pointing vaguely toward the notes they meant to hit, and I was hearing the vibration in the room, and I found myself in awe. And the woman who was standing at the front and conducting them turned to me and went like, they went silent instantly. Thank you. She said, "Yes." And then I was afraid I had asked a question that I didn't know I was asking because I didn't know what she was saying, and I stood trembling, and then they started to laugh and titter, which was not an unusual sound for me to hear when I was in a room. And the teacher said, "Would you like to join us?" And I realized that I would very much like to join them. I had never wanted to join anything in my life. Anything I could possibly join involved children. I did not like children. Parenthetically, I once, about 14 years ago, I finally said to my mother, "Stop asking when we're going to have kids. We're not going to have kids because I do not like children." And my mother said, "Oh, you get that from me." Felt we might bond. I said mother, right? Oh, Okay, good, thank you. One time, like, I accidentally said wife on stage when I meant mother, and it screwed me up so badly that for 6 weeks I could not perform sexually with either of them. What the hell am I talking about? So, I joined choir. Twice a week I would leave class and go and stand with the other kids and I would sing. And then we started to get ready for Christmas concert. I was taking piano lessons as well at this time. My parents wanted me and my sister to study and learn and understand music, but they also wanted us never to make a sound. I remember practicing piano afternoon after afternoon. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I would hit a wrong note, and from the kitchen I would hear my mother go, "Ah!" And at the time, it was just an adrenaline rush. Every time I became hesitant about touching the keys. And it's not her fault. I was unconsciously turning her into Yosemite Sam, waiting for Bugs's piano to explode. Once I finally loosened up enough and started exploring. And she shouted, "Stop playing! You're supposed to practice!" And it was not until many years later that it occurred to me that the point of practice is to learn how to play. Ah! So, I'm in choir, we're coming up on the holidays and the big holiday concert, and I'm going to be doing a little piano recital, and then I'm going to sing with choir, and we're learning all the snowman songs and all the reindeer songs and all the Santa songs, and she plays out all our parts for each one, and we learn them. And then she plays us this one piece of music. And it affected me like the first time I heard Cordelia Watson play. And the kids sang it, and I sang it, but I wasn't supposed to sing. I wasn't supposed to sing. I was supposed to sing this. I was supposed to sing. Here it comes. And it was so boring. And I was 8. And I started to sing. And that teacher went, "Yeah! Dylan, what are you even singing right now? Did you practice your part? You know what? Why don't you just mouth the words so you don't ruin everything for everyone?" Now, a thing that nobody knew at this time is that autistic kids take things literally. And I did not want to ruin everything for everyone. So I learned to mouth the words. I became the kid who mouths the words at birthday parties. I did not sing. My guitar work all became deeply hesitant. My piano, the night of the recital, I played a Bach cantata, but I played it in a fugue state. And then I mouthed some words to some Christmas songs. And then the band went up and played, and at the end of the band playing, oh my God, a kid went up with an electric guitar and he did a pentatonic run up the neck, and the room burst into applause and stood up. And then we left, and on the way back to the car, I said, "So how was it, Dad?" And he said, "I don't know what you want me to say, Dylan. It was a children's music recital." That kid with the guitar was something else, though, wasn't he? All these little micro traumas. I mentioned my pomposity earlier. I don't think you fully this is the extent of my pomposity. This show was originally called Dylan Brody's Thinking Aloud, Experiments in Epigenetic Expansionism. My pomposity really, I had to be lectured by a manager about the lack of need for academic colons in the title of a humor piece. So I told Ted this story, and he was baffled, not because you don't talk that way to a child, not because, he was baffled because he was Catholic. He knew this piece of music. And he said, I know that bass line. It's beautiful. And those 3 notes came out of his chest in the tiny room, and I heard the reverberation against the walls. And then, as the sun was about to rise, we headed back up to our dorm. And we found Suzanne sitting out on the grassy slope with her 12-string. She played Joni Mitchell and she played Joan Baez. And then she started kissing Ted. So I got up to leave. She said, stay. So I stayed, and then we were a tangle of adolescent elbows and knees and tongues. And I remember at one moment Ted and I made fierce eye contact. And I was trying to figure out whether we were doing something wrong. It felt sinful. We had consent. Still. He later told me that he had been trying to get me to telepathically inform him of her name. And then she cleaned us all up with a hand towel and tossed it in her guitar case and hopped a few steps down the hill and turned back and looked at us and said, I saw how you looked at each other. Freaks. Stormed off into the night. We went tripping in the New York night. The city turned into a grid. We were immortal, as cool as starlight. Without an inkling, we were kids. We traded secrets and we stared at our hands. We sang like wolf pups at the moon. We spoke for hours of our convoluted plans. It seems we spoke too soon. They say the city doesn't sleep, but in the darkest hours the silences get deep. And all the voices in my head, all the voices in my head, all the voices in my head sing like you. I went to college at Sarah Lawrence, and Ted drove a cab in the city, studied opera. We'd get together on the weekends. One Saturday night, he and I and another friend, Eddie, we all took acid, walked around the gridwork of the city, and we wound up at pre-dawn on Wall Street, the financial district. We sat on the steps of the stock exchange. I remember the sensation of the cold granite under my fingers. And I told him about that sound I had heard in my head when I was a kid. And I had never heard of Robert Monroe or binaural frequency combinations, but they both started to listen for their sound, and on my one side there, Ted, he found the sound and he sang it in the lower octave where he could reproduce it. And Eddie, on my other side, also a musical prodigy in his own right, he found his tone. And they were both close to mine and close to each other, but not exactly right. so that as one sat on one side of me and the other sat on the other, I could hear the slight vibration that comes when the tones are not the same. And I could feel my brain trying to reconcile those tones to my tone, and it seemed that if I could just find my tone, if I could just open my throat and find my tone and join as a tight triad, we could unravel the keys to the universe, 'cause we were tripping. But I could not do that, because I did not want to ruin everything for everyone. Slow motion wrestling, spring soft ground, synchronized and so controlled, both so certain we'd both always be around, writing songs and growing old. I wander empty through my halls and wake from nightmares. I've been missing your calls, and still the voices in my head, all the voices in my head, still the voices in my head sing like you. We didn't know the expression bipolar any more then than we knew the idea of Asperger's. Ted was a basso profundo with a supreme voice. None of us realized how low he could get until he auditioned for the Met and didn't get in. Spiral started and I moved out to LA. Last time he called, he was full of a lot of ideas. He was going to do a lot of things. He was going to be visiting me. He was going to be starting a business. He was going to be writing a show. He was going to be singing, and I didn't understand most of it. Then he clicked off the line. Just clicked off the line. You were the first to tell me I could be strong and let my songs out brash and grand. Perhaps you planned your great escape all along. I fear you hoped I'd understand. 'Cause now I'm left to wonder if you were asking me to talk you off that cliff. Still the voices in my head, please, all the voices.